Hey there, Cancer. Welcome to your reading for the week of, or no, this is for November 2025. Just kidding. You have this card that says a new start is coming, and you also have this card that says you and your loved ones are safe. New moon in Cancer, which is you here. So there clearly could be a new start. It is a good month for a new start, even though there is a Mercury retrograde. Yes, I understand that. But also, I believe that tarot and astrology are not a prison sentence. If you want to live that way, go for it. But, I think if you're smart, then you just shouldn't worry about it, plain and simple. Because guess what? Life is, made to, we're made to make mistakes, is what I'm trying to spit out here, Cancer. Some of you, maybe people have told you you're a mistake. And, good, is what I would say. Because that's a good thing. And that means you're unique, Cancer. And what I would say here is that I think it could be a good month for you to make some mistakes here, even if it's not, they don't have to be like big mistakes. They can be like little things, but I think it's also a good time to get started just in general. In your current general energies here, you have the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Four of Wands. The Queen of Swords is clarity. And again, this Mercury retrograde seems to be one, like a lot of people have been getting these messages of getting a lot of clarity. So retrogrades can, again, most people think of them as confusing, but really they can bring a lot of clarity, especially based off of, if you've been working on things or trying to find answers on, pretty much anything in your life, then retrogrades can absolutely bring in a lot of answers or clarity. So I think that the Queen of Swords is just talking about clarity coming in. You have the Queen of Pentacles. It seems to be a little bit of a financial focus for you. It's funny, you only have 2 Pentacle cards, but again, I read intuitively, and intuitively I feel that this month there could be some sort of financial focus for you where you're strengthening your finances or you're doing something that could make you more money just in general with the Queen of Pentacles. Again, I always say that I think the secret hack for the Queen of Pentacles is to focus on multiplication. She does things where she gets a multiple of a result. So we all have skills, we all have things we're good at, and usually those things we're really good at, we can get a bigger result than everybody else on. And so, with the Queen of Pentacles, I tell people to pay attention to what you are really, really good at. And, there's probably something. And I would do more of that activity, whatever it is, because could make you more money with the Queen of Pentacles. She's also focusing on the Pentacle. She's not focused on the Rabbit here. I feel pretty good about this. And it's funny, you also have the Five of Pentacles in the area of the good stuff. Normally Five of Pentacles is calling attention to your weaknesses, but in the good stuff, it would say you're not. And the Queen of Pentacles, she's focused on the Pentacle, not the Rabbit. The Rabbit can represent fertility and abundance, but it can also represent fears, anxiety, things like that. So it seems to me like you are very financially focused in a good way, as in you're focusing on what's working, not what's not working. You have the Four Wands. Four Wands can be marriage, but, Four Wands is really a card of freedom. I do feel that pretty much everyone is probably going to feel a strong urge for freedom in the month of November. We have Uranus going back into Taurus in the middle of November. Uranus is going to retrograde. It is retrograde, but it's going to tick over into Taurus this month of November. And that's going to make people have a very strong craving for freedom and being set free. And, I think people are going to become, this is like a long-term thing. Even though, again, Uranus next year will move back into Gemini and it'll stay there until 2033, basically. 2033 for people who can't hear. I said 3 twice, not 2. So there you go. But number 2 here, this is going to continue for many years, where we're going to have a very strong desire to set ourselves free from things. We probably won't tolerate things that make us feel boxed in, which you can say is true for everyone all the time, but there's going to be very, very little tolerance for anything that makes you feel stuck or trapped or makes you feel suffocated. Even if you already are that way, multiply it by 10. And again, this is a good thing. I think this is not bad at all, because I think it's pushing people towards being more free. Obviously, that's a good thing. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Empress. Very good energy for you, for sure. I think that, we're just missing the sun here. To me, the sun, you have the star, but if we had the sun, that would be like a glow-up vibe. going on in this reading. To me, the Empress and the Star is kind of a glow up, but not quite. It's like you're working towards one maybe here, Cancer, unless we get the Sun. The Empress is also great for abundance, so I feel that you're kind of focused on all things abundance. Those are the words that are popping into my head, and I think it would be a good month for you to stay focused on all things abundant. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Hierophant, boxed in. Like I said, the Hierophant is sitting on his box right here, his soapbox. I like the Hierophant, but sometimes I think he can make us feel trapped in like traditional beliefs or things. Traditional beliefs can basically be anything that we've always believed just because we have, and those beliefs can sometimes keep us stuck for sure. So I feel a lot of you could be hoping to set yourself free. I also feel there could be a lot of blessings. He's blessing these two people here. Now, I kind of feel that this reading is saying for Cancer to get the blessings this month, they should challenge beliefs. Anything that's been keeping you stuck, you should probably challenge those things. We can challenge our beliefs just by simply learning about whatever we believe and seeing if it's true or not, getting to the bottom of it and setting ourselves free from those things, right? And that's really what I would focus on here with the Hierophant. It's like, it might be your thoughts as well. You have the Queen of Swords here. I once heard someone say, I don't remember who, but they said all thoughts are lies. And I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, I guess that's true, because pretty much everything we think is a lie because it either hasn't happened yet or we haven't made it happen, right? And I kind of get that feeling for you, Cancer, where it's like, kind of instead of thinking, just doing might be a better thing for you to do this month. And also, but that also goes for worrying as well. It's like there's no point in worrying about things because all thoughts are lies. With the Four of Wands, you have the Six of Wands. We have the Six of Wands twice going this way. So whenever we have a card here and then another one here or here, it tells me that the reading is going in this direction, or at least this part of the reading. And so you have the Four of Wands, the Six of Wands, the Eight of Swords. Obviously we've been talking about freedom at the beginning of the reading here, and the Eight of Swords is stuck. So, it seems to me, I actually feel pretty good about this reading for you, Cancer. I feel that you are just kind of setting yourself free or hoping to have some sort of victory that will set you free from, being inside of a box. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you in November, you have this closed-minded card. It says, sometimes you fail to see the infinite possibilities and opportunities that are available to you. That could be the mind thing that you need to overcome this month. You have this creator card. It says your creativity is your superpower and your path to prosperity. Yes, I literally just said to Pisces, this month is really good for creative energy for water signs. And you have this creator card. So you have the power to create anything in the world. Your first card is the world. And with a card like this in the world, you could definitely be creating something physical. And, I think it's a great time to do that. I kind of feel like you are on the path to prosperity. I feel you have the opportunity to obviously create a lot of abundance with that Empress. You have the World, the Six of Wands, and the Four of Swords. I kind of feel like Cancers have the opportunity to become like a major player over the next few years, starting now. So that's why I'm telling you this, because you should start now, obviously, not wait. But the World can sometimes represent your place in the world. It can represent where you try and take your place in the world. And you have the Six of Wands. Six of Wands is he's getting all the attention. He is having a victory. People are celebrating his success, but he's like taking up space in the world to make that happen. And so definitely a time of like bravery, being bold, being assertive, all the things we always talk about, Cancer. I think all those energies will help you kind of take your place in the world, but could be a lot of accomplishments. Yeah, because you have three if we count both Six of Wands in this reading. But you have the Six of Wands after the World, which is definitely a major accomplishment coming in for you. This could also be you standing out on top of the world. I kind of feel like, I feel like I said this to you recently, Cancer, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I might be making this up, but I'm pretty sure, like I've said to you, something needs more time, or you have to give something more of an effort or something like that. I'm not saying that you're not putting an effort into what you're trying to accomplish, but it's like I do think something needs a little bit more time. I don't really feel like you're giving up or anything. We don't really see that here in the reading. But, I do feel like saying don't give up, especially if you're working on a creative project, a business, an idea. Could even be something personal. Empress is anything that we nurture in our lives. So anything that you've been nurturing, if your results have been small, I feel you need to keep going because, it's like sometimes, the Eight of Swords can be a little bit stuck. But it's like sometimes I think we have to just be a little bit stuck to find other ways of doing things that actually break us out of being stuck. And, don't take this the wrong way, Cancer. I'm not telling you to be stuck. But I am saying it would be okay if you were still stuck at the same level you are right now for a little bit longer, right? It's almost like again, I'm not encouraging you to be stuck, but what I am saying is even if you feel stuck, it would be worth it to not give up on whatever you're working on here because I feel like maybe you're close to like a breakthrough or an answer. We don't really have any breakthrough cards here yet, but we'll see what comes up. You have the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is resting, relaxing, recovering. I do think it is a good month for that. I mean, obviously Mercury retrograde is pretty good for healing just in general, taking care of yourself. Empress is like putting yourself first, so I think all those things would be good. He's hoping and praying for a blessing, and we have like 3 blessing cards so far. Hierophant, this card, and the Star are really good cards for receiving a blessing. So, could be blessings coming in for you this month here, Cancer. But let's see. I think they're blessings that you're creating. With the World, you have the Seven of Cups. It's like kind of like a make up your mind type of energy here, Cancer, as well. Like make up your mind on what you want or, but I don't even know if that's it. I feel like sometimes that the Seven of Cups wants us to experience variety. It's like if you can't make a decision on something, maybe you just need to change your mind and say, this is just an experience. It doesn't have to be a thing. Like that's kind of what's popping into my head here. I feel like that would be a good solution for you, especially like if you're dating or if you're, trying to work on a business or something. It's like instead of saying, I need this to work this way, I feel maybe you're putting too much pressure on things. I feel here with this and the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords can be a tight energy and, it can be an energy of kind of like putting that pressure on things. It can also be about going around and, the Seven of Cups. And thinking like, I do want this, like I do want love, I don't want love, I do want this business, I don't want it, and it would be better, I think, for you to say, like, I'm just going to try it, see how it goes, and I'm just going to experience the variety and see what happens. With the Six of Wands, you have the Death card, which is like a transformation. I think you are transforming here, Cancer. Clearly, you're like taking your place in the world. We have the Death card twice as well, going this way. So typical Cancer reading with the repeating cards, but the Death card definitely says that you're transforming. With the Four of Swords, you have the Justice card. Justice is cause and effect. I would be careful of like numbers. I know that sounds stupid, Cancer, but that's how it's popping into my head with the Justice card. It's like if you're saying, oh, this won't be a success, and I'm speaking very generally here, like whatever you're working on, doesn't even matter. If you're saying it needs to equal this, whatever that is, right? I feel like you're going to make things a lot harder than they need to be. Like, I feel it would be better to, like, just enter into situations and say, I'm just going to see what this situation will give to me, and I'll see what I can get out of it. Instead of, like, being like, oh, like, don't be a nerd, Cancer, right? It's like, don't be like, oh, 1 + 1 has to equal 2. I think you need to be like 1 + 1 could equal 2, but it could also equal -7, and it could equal +10. On the higher scale of things. This is Chris math here. So what I would say is I think being open to the outcomes would be better than just being like this has to look this way. I don't know. I just feel like the Justice card is saying you need to have a more neutral approach to things and not try to like predict outcomes or something. Whatever. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have a Saturn card. It says structure, yes. You have this Pallas Athena. It says think. We have Saturn retrograding in Pisces, and I've probably said to you a million times before that having like a plan, a structure to follow would be a good idea right now, adding structure to things. But this also would represent bringing things into the 3D, having 3D experiences here on earth with the World card, the Eight of Swords, the Seven of Cups, not holding yourself back. Seven of Cups, my problem that I always have with the Seven of Cups is that you can dream of something with the Seven of Cups and then never do it because you just assume an outcome. That's the challenge always with the Seven of Cups, I think, is that we get an opportunity, but we assume the outcome is going to be this way or whatever, but we don't actually know. So the Seven of Cups to me says, don't cheat yourself out of good experiences, plain and simple. Also, Cancer, make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. You have the Four of Swords, Five of Swords, the Eight of Swords, Five of Swords, and the Death card. The Eight of Swords is self-imposed restriction, holding yourself back. So I would ask you, what are you holding yourself back from with that Seven of Cups in the world? I feel like there is something that you want to make 3D, but you're not. Maybe you're too focused on the limitations. Maybe you're too focused on, all the reasons something couldn't work, or maybe you're only focused on one solution. That's really the problem with the Eight of Swords, is that she only sees one way to solve her problem when there are actually many ways that she could solve her problem. She could just walk forwards, right? There are no swords in front of her. She could lean against the swords and cut her hands free and take her blindfold off. She could lean her head against the swords, take the blindfold off with one of the sword handles, and she could see her situation and she could escape. There's like a million things that she could do. She could yell and scream for help, right? There are so many things. And I think the Eight of Swords is saying there's like a lot of solutions here, but you have to kind of be open to those solutions. Sometimes she is making a bigger deal out of her situation than it needs to be. She's, the whole point of the water that she's standing in is that it represents shallow emotions. It's not saying that you are shallow. It's just saying that you're making a bigger deal out of something than it needs to be. And I kind of get that feeling here. You have the Five of Swords. I think we are in a Five of Swords time, kind of, just in general. So I feel a lot of people are just going through a lot of changes, a lot of walking away from people. I'm not just talking about love here. I'm talking about all sorts of people in our lives. We could be, cutting people out that are no longer serve us, that aren't good for us, and, all that other good stuff. So I just think the Five of Swords is kind of a process that everybody is dealing with, just removing things. I think people are also focusing on the types of people that they surround themselves with. And so you might want to focus on surrounding yourself with more winners, for example, here at Cancer. Or maybe you are wanting to focus on surrounding yourself with people who have a certain energy. And the Five of Swords is a great card for doing that. So there you go. You have the Death card. I sometimes with the Death card, I feel like light at the end of the tunnel. We have this rose, this white rose on his banner, and on the Death card, it represents the light at the end of the tunnel. Basically, kind of getting to the end of a transformation or a journey, kind of like a transformational journey that you've been on. And so I feel a lot of you could be doing that. We have this child here. The child is the only person on the card that is excited about the Death Rider. The child is holding these flowers up to the Death Rider. It's saying that, it kind of says that children are excited by change for the most part, or they're excited to experience change. And you are Cancer, the child, basically, the child energy in the zodiac. So I think you need to embrace the newness, the childlike energy of life. With the Eight of Swords, you have the King of Wands. Yes, bold, assertive, confident, Eight of Swords. We can't be delicate. And I know that you are delicate, Cancer, but we can't be delicate with the Eight of Swords sometimes with the King of Wands. We have to be like a steamroller. We have to be like a tank. We just have to blow through things and charge over them, and kind of be a little bit like a bull in a china shop. Maybe that's what Uranus and Taurus wants you to do, Cancer, in the month of November. It wants you to be willing to break things. It's funny that I said be willing to make mistakes at the beginning of the reading. And again, we're not talking about mistakes that are going to get you in trouble or something like that. I think the other thing I think about Cancer is South Node and Virgo. The problem with South Node and Virgo is it tries to make us too perfect when perfect doesn't exist. So we have to be willing to, you got to break a couple of eggs to bake a cake, right? So, sometimes we have to make a mess. And again, we're not talking about a bad mess here. We're just talking about, kind of like the process of putting something together, right? With the Five of Swords, you have the King of Pentacles. There's your Taurus energy right there. So, I think embracing that energy would be a good idea for you. The King of Pentacles, he also kind of plays it a little bit too safe. Sometimes he's a card of convention. He only does what works, which, again, you've probably heard me say this. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's bad if he's not evolving. And also, he could learn new ways of doing things that would improve his life. Eventually, what works doesn't work anymore. It's like things change. The world changes. And, the King of Pentacles, it's like, yeah, doing what works is good to a point, but it's only as good as what works until it doesn't, right? So the best thing to do with the King of Pentacles is like 20% of the time, experiment, especially in work or business, but also any area of your life. And, the King of Pentacles really doesn't want us to rest on our laurels, wants us to keep the momentum going. And I feel like this whole reading wants you to keep the momentum going. Yes, with the Death card, you have the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, get things rolling forward here, Cancer. It wants you to make the change. The Wheel of Fortune is a change in your destiny, but we have to be the one to get the wheel spinning forward, and we can do that by doubling down on the good stuff, right? And by just embracing change in the first place. So I would definitely do that. I think I always say to you, we have this snake on the side of the wheel here. Snakes are guardians of portals in the tarot. You have 2 portal cards here. You have this and the World. And usually, snakes represent fears, so sometimes with the Wheel of Fortune, we have to face a fear to get to cross through some sort of portal in our life that will change our life. So I would definitely do that. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this overcoming challenges. In the good stuff, it says a triumph will bring great change. Let yourself be open to victory. That is the entire reading right there. You have this Dragonfly Spirit. It says, shift your way of thinking and tackle the issue from a different angle. Yes, 8 of Swords is only one angle, so I feel that is your solution. Pretty simple reading. I've probably made it overcomplicated here, Cancer, but I think this is your answer. It's like you are overcoming challenges and obstacles this month. I think just, being open to other ways of overcoming those challenges is kind of the solution. And we see a bunch of victory cards here in this reading, especially the World and the 6 of Wands twice. Even the 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands comes up when we're completing something and we're crossing a finish line, right? So maybe this reading is saying you're crossing a finish line, or you have the opportunity to cross a finish line. You have the 2 of Swords, the Star, and the 5 of Pentacles. 2 of Swords is this or that thinking, needing to realize there's another way behind you. The good thing is it's coming up in the good stuff. I think, didn't we talk about motorcycles in your last reading? It's like, imagine if you're running a marathon. Me, personally, I would never run a marathon. But if I got to a marathon, the beginning of it, and I saw a motorcycle, I would just run the marathon on the motorcycle, right? And I would beat everyone on a motorcycle. That's what this reading wants you to do. It's like saying you could be doing something where everybody is like running, and nobody really actually wants to run, I'm convinced. Every time I see someone running by me when I go for my walk every single day, they look like they're about to die. So I don't think people really enjoy it. I think people say they enjoy it. It's like broccoli. People love to tell me in the comments how they love broccoli. I'm always like, liar. Nobody likes broccoli. But what I would say here is it's like, maybe there's a motorcycle. You could just get on the motorcycle and rush to the finish line, right? You have the Star. The Star is a very good card of hope, faith, renewal. Something definitely could be giving you hope this month, I feel. Like you could be discovering a solution. I also feel that there are just like blessings coming in for you in this reading. Now, these are blessings you're going to create, so I don't want to make this out to sound like it's better than it actually is, but I feel you have the opportunity to create some blessings, and it's going to come through other ways of doing whatever you're doing, and that's what I would focus on here. You have the 5 of Pentacles. Again, 5 of Pentacles normally represents feeling left out in the cold, but in the good stuff, it would say you are focusing on your strengths, and that's exactly what we should do with the 5 of Pentacles, is focus on the things that we're good at, not on the things we're not good at, and we also just have to sometimes come out of the cold with the 5 of Pentacles. Let's see. With the 2 of Swords, you have the High Priestess. So we on the 8 of Swords, she has a blindfold on. On the 2 of Swords, she has a blindfold on. Blindfolds in the tarot represent needing to trust your intuition. So obviously your intuition is telling you something that you need to listen to. It's coming up in the good stuff, so I kind of feel like you are, or you will if you're not. With the Star, here you go. You have the 2 of Swords again. So again, needing to find other ways of doing things, or just needing to stay open with the 2 of Swords is the solution here. And with the Five of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Swords. Pretty good, Cancer, actually. You start and end with clarity coming in. And so, we do see a lot of clarity in this reading. You could be getting some answers or seeing things clearly. The Queen of Swords sees something clearly for the first time. And she only has clouds halfway up her body. So you could be seeing clearly. We're going to use the Oracle of the Radiant Sun now, and you have this birth card. This is a Cancer card. You could definitely be birthing something new. The World is birth as well, but she is birthing her own new world, and that's what I would do if I were you, is like I said, it's just, I think the gist of this reading is the Seven of Cups in the World. You have this idea, or many ideas, that you need to bring it into 3D. I also think you need to commit to things just like a little bit longer. I'm not telling you to waste time or anything, but it just, I don't know. I feel if you've, if there's something you're working on that you've taken a break from or something, that's like what I feel. I think it would be worth it for you to keep going and, get in and kind of like have a routine, which I'm pretty sure I said to you in your bonus reading. You have this acquisition card. Could be a Taurus if you're looking for love. I always make the joke that literally every Cancer I know is married to a Taurus. So I'm not saying you have to marry a Taurus. It could be any sign. But if you want love, you have Taurus in this reading a bunch of times. 4 times. Empress, the World, Taurus is on the World, the Wheel of Fortune, and King of Pentacles. And this card is Sun and Taurus. So, again, could be a Taurus. Doesn't have to be. This card can just be you finding love. Next, you have this Rebellion card. Yes, Uranus and Gemini. I think Uranus and Gemini, the next many years, are going to bring out your rebellious side. Uranus will enter into Cancer in 2032 for a very short period of time before it retrogrades back into Gemini until 2033 when it moves back into Cancer. But between now and then, you could be developing, I know that's like 7 years or whatever, but you could be developing kind of like a rebellious nature, but in a good way. And, you could be becoming more dynamic. You have this egotism card. I would definitely be careful of people with an ego. I've talked a million times about, we had Mars retrograde in Leo. The last Mercury retrograde was in Leo. Jupiter next year is going to go retrograde in Leo. I would be careful of people with an ego. And finally, you have this idealism card. Yes, nothing is perfect. You gotta break some eggs this month. I actually think it's a good month for you. I just feel the challenges like being messy, things not being perfect, stuff like that here, Cancer. But it looks pretty good. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.